morning, Twitch. Hope you guys are having a great day. Good morning, YouTube. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today I'm going to be doing just general things. I'm not going to be running quests, but I'm going to be doing domains. I'm going to be doing some trounce domains. I have a new
Navigating the
character,
world's a
Nahida,
whole
that
lot
I'm going to
easier
be
with a
kind of
few
working
different
on today a
identities
little
to
bit as
choose
well.
from. Need me to come up with some for you?
Uh, some talents that I want to get up on my Rosario and my Fischl. So we're actually going to be starting off today with this domain. It's the Forsaken Rift. I believe it's about a mile south of the major city, and it's an ice domain. It's a pain in the neck. I don't really care about the creatures that much. That's not the big deal in this thing. This is probably my least favorite one, only because of um, the attacks that happen. So they drop these icicle things from the ceiling that stun you and knock you back a little bit, and it's just kind of a pain in the neck. So I kind of hate that about this domain. It makes it tough to stay on track while you're doing it, and it also makes it take a little bit longer because of that. I'm going to show you the general food that I use. I love this pizza right here, the Meat Lover's Mushroom Pizza. It does a really great job of getting your attack up as well as your crit by 10%. Not quite as good, obviously, as the golden food, but much easier to get the items for. And then for defense, I like the rice cake soup simply because it increases my defense. I don't use a shield very often, so I'm not super worried about trying to boost that at all. And this one gives you the best defense that you can get from a blue food rather than a purple food. I could go with something like this, but even this, you'll see, it's boosting the strength of the shield, and your defense is still 235. So you're getting the same defense here as you would from the moon pie, except that there's no shield. This is really the only one that you can go to that's going to get you a better defense, up to 308, and it does healing effects. So this is a good one that I do use quite often. Um, and this purple guy here is a little bit better again at 261, but it's much harder to get the things that you need for these. Most of these require that you get crab, and I hate having to hunt that resource down. It's a pain in the neck. So I use this guy, and against these ice users, sometimes I'll go with ice defense, but that's pretty rare. Usually I either go with lightning or fire or even the Dendro for my attack. Um, Today I'm probably just going to go with fire. Now, with that, let me kind of go over who I'm using in this fight today. I'm using Yelan. She is my favorite. She's a water user, so it makes it a little bit more difficult, but there's so many things that are special about Yelan that make her worth having. The line that she creates allows you to pull people in and pull them to a center, which is great. But she's also my main battery, generating uh, uh, the bursts that I need for the other players as well, simply because of the Favonius Warbow that she's using, and she hits really well with this. The other nice thing too is that water actually hits really good damage against ice. So this is a nice thing as well. With her artifacts, I'm running a combination Noblesse and Heart of Depth to get me the elemental burst damage and the hydro bonus as well. For her constellations, unfortunately, I don't have any. I really just need the first one. That's all I really care about. But getting her it's a tough thing to do. Talent wise, I do have both her main talents, her important talents at 10. And of course, these will boost up once I start getting some constellations from her. You don't really have to boost her bow attack at all, because she doesn't really, that's not really the damage that she's doing. You don't really have to worry about it. I still do it, but you don't really have to worry about that. A couple of the special things about her. Her hit points is her HP is what she does damage based on, and her HP will actually go up if you have different party members that have different elemental types. So with 4 different types, which is what I'm running right now, you actually get a 30% bonus in Yolan's HP, which is great because that also means you're getting a 30% bonus in your attack. With her exquisite throw, you can pass on her burst damage to other characters, which is great. Your own character is going to receive 1% more damage, and it's further increased 3.5 every second that it's actually running, all the way up to 50%. This is huge damage for her. And necessary calculation, she gets an extra 25% more for the rewards that go out. With her boost, or her burst, she has a water attack that will constantly hit, like every second, using normal attacks. So as long as your character is using normal attacks, this damage is going to continue to hit, and you can, as you swap her out into to your other characters, that talent goes with them, which gets for some really generating some really interesting effect. Because it does add a water effect to them as well. So if you switch to Dilute, then you can get the nice vaporize effect with that. If you switch to Fischl, you can get the quicken and connectivity effect. And if you go to Kainari, you get the bloom effect, all while she's sitting in the background doing nothing, right? So it's really it's a really great character to have. Dilute, not one of my favorite characters. I'm not super great with Claymore characters in general. They're just a little bit slow. I do like him in this particular fight though because he hits pretty hard. With his weapon that I'm using, Wolf's Gravestone, whenever they get below 20%, he does extra damage, and that's passed on to every member in the party, which is great. With him, I'm just running Crimson Wish of Flames, which gives him a bonus on Burning and Overload, and as well as Vaporize and Melt. You're also getting the extra 15% for the Pyro damage. Again, no constellations for him. His talents I have at a decent level, and it's really just Dawn that I care that much about. Although his Searing Onslaught does do good damage in this particular domain, and the fact that his fire will actually carry on in the sword, even after you're done using Searing Onslaught, allows you to continue doing fire damage, which is really great as well. Fischl, probably one of my most favorite characters, doing straight DPS and elemental damage. As an electro type, she works really well with all three of these characters, as well as Rosario, who I normally use, and being a bow user, she can attack from a distance as well. Her weapon that I'm using is the Amos bow, not for any special thing other than the fact that it increases your normal and charged attack damage, which kind of carries along with what we're doing with Yelan. And then on top of that, it increases by 8% for every second that it's in the air. So she doesn't have to be right on top of the bad guy to use her bow, and on top of that, she actually does more damage if she's farther away, which is great. I'm using Thundering Fury with her. I do not have the best set for her. One of the things that I really need to do is spend a day and spend some time just, bumping up her set for her. But I do have them at a pretty decent place. And as it relates to critical damage and things like that, this is actually fairly set up for her. I do have all of her constellations, however, compared to the others, which gives us a lot of extra effects when her owl or her raven, crow, whatever that thing is, when it's not on the field, you can still do electrical damage with her, which is great. Against um, the water creature, it does a lot of damage. And against these ice creatures, it does a lot of damage as well. But it's really her Midnight Phantasmagoria that I really love in this. It drops the electro effect no matter what, and then when I follow it up with Tainari, I can get aggravated damage from his Dendro, which is just hits super stellar hard, which is really great. Um, the Stellar Protector that she does, Oz is what I'm talking about. If you shoot Oz with an aim shot, which is again another reason why I like the Amos bow, I'm going to be nailing a good AoE electrical damage. I don't do that very often in this, simply because I don't like to take the time to have to do that. But it is there if I want to do that, which is great. You can also trigger the electro-related elements when Oz is on the field, and even when he's not on the field, I can do it as well. But if I do hit the Thundering Retribution, it's going to do an additional 80% of damage, which is great. And then, of course, when she's dispatched in Mondstadt, the time is dropped down. Tainari, my favorite DPS character. He's new in Sumeru, which is nice. For me, it's really all about his charged attack damage and his burst. I have him set using Hunter's Path, which is all the way up. His base attack is great. His crit rate is great. Now, the bow gives him crit rate. He himself, when you ascend him, gives you crit damage. Yolan's the same way. When she ascends, she also gets crit damage as her benefit, which is outstanding. And then with this bow, when it does charged attack damage, it's increased by 200% of the elemental mastery. So if you have elemental mastery high on him, which is one of the things that I've worked on inside of here, I'm using Wanderer's Troop. I'm getting 300 elemental mastery just from the Wanderer's Troop itself. His elemental mastery is actually pretty decent right now. But Wanderer's Troop also gives you a bonus to charged attack damage as well. So Wanderer's Troop, even though it's not really the main set that's designed for him, is a really good set, and you can get them way easier than the rest of them, and you can get ones that have critical rate, critical damage, and some of those things, which I have very high on him. I do have a couple of his constellations, which is really nice. The beginnings here gives the attack rate is, or the crit rate is increased by 15%, so I have an even better crit rate. I think his crit rate I have right now up to around 50%. And then with Origin Stems, when there are opponents within the field that you drop down for him, Tainari gains 20% damage in bonus, and this effect lasts up to 6 seconds. So really nice bonuses for him. I do have his two things up at a decent level, and tomorrow I'll be working on more domains to get them up. You do have to do the Guardian of Eternity Trounce domain to bump up his talents, and you don't always get this guy here, which is a pain in the neck. And so I'm a little bit behind on boosting him up simply because I haven't gotten enough of the converters when I'm doing the Trounce domains to get him up. But at 7 and 8, he still hits extremely hard, which is outstanding. His skill-based attack, it drops a Dendro field, and while they're in that, the best thing about that isn't necessarily the damage. The best thing about that Dendro field is that it allows him to quickly use charged attacks. You can do 3 charged attacks extremely fast with him, and every time one of those attacks hit, it breaks off and does damage 4 more times. Same thing with his burst. When it hits, it breaks off and does 6 damage, extra damages. So you'll see Tainari when I'm using him in here, especially if Aggravate is dropped, or if they have the water effect on it that particular time, or even the fire effect. All of his damages are boosted up, but I really like the Aggravate damage that you get from him as well. So that's the character set that I'll be running for these domains.
Good roll.
I'm probably going to run this domain about
Maybe
5 times. That's nice. Alright, I'm going to kill this one without boosting at all, and see how much more difficult it is to kill it without boosting. remember that, or doing that this stupid thing comes out like every time.
Take it easy.
So after you turn these things on, it's going to die all by itself. You just have to avoid the action of while it's trying to die. Oh look, I got a big one this time. How about that? I guess they heard me and they were like, oh, let's get him a big one because he talks too much. Alright. So that was a pretty good set there. I think I'm going to use that one as my video later. What do we still need for her? Let's see. I gotta kill that thing like 30 times. So, well, if we only get 2 every time, it's going to be six times. So 5 more times. Plus I need 4 of those. Alright. Let's go and kill the other big guy too while we're waiting. And in the meantime, bump up here really quick. And I'm not going to boost on that one either, so you guys can kind of see what it's like to try to kill that one without it being boosted. That one's quite a bit harder. It's going to definitely rampage. I'm not going to have a chance to kill it before it rampages, I don't think. So, you know, you'll get to see it do that particular thing as well. But we'll see how it goes. So you saw on the Dendro Hypostasis, I didn't boost or anything like that. There was nothing going on, and it was a still pretty easy kill. This is going to be, like I said, probably a little bit.
Race to the wicked!
Shadow Raven!
Nip that in the butt. Take it easy.
So yeah, as you saw, took a little bit longer. Got in a couple more hits on me, but look at that. So when you don't boost, maybe you get an opportunity to get these more often. Good to know. I'll check that out. I'll continue to do that if that's the case.
Take it easy.
They will attack that on nice Dendro fire reaction.
Dawn, break forth!
Take it easy.
Just run away. Not a big deal. Yeah, that one didn't give me a big one, so I guess it's completely random, doesn't matter. But I did get 3, so that's nice. Circlet, still give me HP, man.